Here we are in the kitchen of the Inn of the Tarred Fox, once again with Meg.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Made it in from the garden, did you?
That's right, we made it in. And we're going to be making zucchini tart.
A zucchini tart, yes. So we're going to start with the basic pie crust, which I know everybody dreads because I don't know why. So I'm just going to make a single pie crust for this. And I'm just going to fluff it in there because you don't want too much flour. So we'll get 1 level cup of flour. And this is not like a real rocket science recipe, so a little bit of salt. And we're going to use about 1/3 of a cup of butter, which is like 5½ tablespoons or something like that. And just to make it really easy on myself, I have put this in the freezer for maybe 20 minutes so it stays nice and firm while I grate it into the flour. And then with your fork, just, and since it's already, I could probably move this out of the way. Since it's already shredded up, it's really easy to just incorporate in there.
So the oven temperature is?
The oven temperature is going to be fairly hot for a pie crust. You want it around 425.
425, okay.
And I'm going to put in, to start, 3 tablespoons of cold water. And just mix it up and see if that's going to be enough.
Are you looking for a particular consistency?
I am looking for this blob of dough to start following the fork around the bowl. And I'd say it has done it.
The blob is following the fork?
Blob! Now, sometimes recipes will tell you to put the dough in the refrigerator for like a ½ hour. Since we started with frozen butter, probably don't really need to do that. So, and that's just because the butter, once you start to handle it, it melts really fast under your hands. So I'm going to pick this up, and if you want to slide it onto the board here, and then sure it's down along the sides really well, and you want to press it with like your finger bent over, otherwise you can poke your finger right through it, and that would not be a good thing after all your work. Okay, so when you're making a tart, a lot of the directions will tell you to bake it blind. You're just covering up this pie tart so it can't see. I don't know, it's a strange expression, but that's what they say. And I found the best way to do it is a really inexpensive way, is to just put a big coffee filter in there and fill it with beans into the oven at 425, and it's going to take like 15 minutes or so. So I'm actually going to set a timer. Well, first of all, we're going to need to slice up this zucchini, which we did harvest from the garden.
Okay.
It is large. I'm going to quarter it like this. And then if you want to slice it off nice and thin, about like that.
Okay.
I'll start some onions. You don't need much onion, just enough to give it a little flavor and color, because this is a nice red onion. Okay, so we're going to saute that up with a little olive oil. Ah, it's sizzling, perfect.
So how much would you guess that is of zucchini?
Half. A cup or so.
A cup and a half.
Cup and a half. And just some.
Now we're adding about a tablespoon maybe of red onion.
Red onion, yeah. Now, the other thing that's going to go on our zucchini tart is a raw tomato relish. So we need to cut up probably like 6 or 7 of these.
Oh, wow.
Some onion that we're going to chop pretty coarsely because it's going to go through the food processor. It doesn't need to be really chopped up fine. Got a couple of cloves of garlic here. We're going to need to put in like 6 tablespoons of olive oil. Are you a real measuring type person, or do you just wing it?
I don't have any idea.
Here's a tablespoon for you.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got a good handful of basil here, and again, for me, it's hard to have too much basil, so you can adjust this to your own taste, but in the summer, there's nothing like fresh basil and tomatoes. Just season that again to your own particular taste. If you're on a low salt diet, you certainly don't need to put extra salt in. But and it's almost like a salsa, but it's a raw tomato relish, and that's it. So that's
great.
Good. And that does smell really, really wonderful. Okay. See, it's starting to brown around the edges, so that's a good sign. But now we do have to get the beans out of there. And the beans are very hot. Okay. So that actually does keep the pie crust from puffing up too much when you cook it. And now to finish it, so at the bottom will brown, we'll just prick it a little bit to let some air out. And give it maybe 5 more minutes in the oven till the bottom browns a little bit more. We're going to make the rest of the filling, and here I've got a little bit more basil, some parsley, which we picked right outside the kitchen door, and this I'm going to chop up a little bit finer. And we've also got some nice fresh chives that I just cut. And with kitchen shears, I'll just snip them off. 3 nice fresh eggs. Beat that up. Now this particular recipe calls for heavy cream. I went the middle line. I'm going with light cream. So we want a cup of it. And as you're measuring a liquid, you really want to be at eye level so that you get a correct measurement here. So that's going to go in. That's it. Salt and pepper again in there. Alright. Put in the zucchini.
Looks good.
Great. So if you want to sprinkle all those herbs on top, just be careful, it's a very hot pan. Alright, and then eggs and cream go on top. And then we'll just take some nice hard Parmesan, or actually I think this is Asiago, and we'll grate it on top. And this will give the top of it a nice browned color after it's cooked. Probably for like 20 minutes until it's all set and nicely browned on top. Okay, so I think that's just about enough time, so we'll give it
Okay,
a
why don't we take a look?
Smelling really good. Oh, and look at that. See how that cheese browned on top?
Wow, look at that.
Doesn't that look and smell yummy? Okay, so the zucchini tart is ready for serving, and we would probably just cut this into sections and serve it with some of that tomato relish that we whipped up in the food processor over there.
Great.
And that sounds like a summer supper to me.
It sure does.